All right. So today I'm going to talk about cannabinoids. What is a cannabinoid? Why is it important? Why does it matter? Cannabinoids you've probably heard of. That's the most famous cannabinoid is THC. THC is it's probably the worst stigma attached cannabinoid. It's probably the most noteworthy. It's probably the thing that you've attributed or renamed as cannabis or called marijuana or all these different really falsehoods surrounding the way that these things actually work. Anyway, THC is probably the most well-known of cannabinoids next to CBD, which you've probably heard of. What you probably aren't aware of is the fact that CBD is actually an umbrella of cannabinoids. In other words, there's several cannabinoids, if not hundreds of cannabinoids, under the CBD designation. These cannabinoids are essentially just compounds that are found in cannabis, hemp, and marijuana. A lot of them found in both. And they both have the same characteristics, if you will. They'll both be synergistic when found present together. They will, kind of create synergy. But I wanted to isolate CBD and its umbrella components from THC and kind of talk a little bit about, what you should look for what types of ailments, and expand on that. So first, just wanted to talk about a compound or a cannabinoid called CBG. CBG, for all intent and purposes, is an anti-inflammatory cannabinoid. When you see CBG in something, the odds are that it's going to be a pain reliever. It'll probably help with some swelling, but in higher concentrations, CBD can be found to aid in producing hunger in those who don't want to take THC but are getting cancer treatment. It has a profound effect on hunger, as a matter of fact. Then you've got CBC, which again has some anti-inflammatory properties, but is also a little bit better known for its proponent to give you mental clarity. Like, I would take CBC if I had a big meeting, or I had an important phone call, or had something I had to do where I really needed to be on my game. I would probably reach for CBC. CBN is actually probably my favorite of them all. CBN, again, these are cannabinoids under CBD that you can actually look for isolate versions of, or you can just make sure that this particular portion is present. CBN is probably the best thing to help you sleep. It's the best kept secret in sleep as far as cannabinoids are concerned. CBN is going to give you, it's actually, the interesting thing about it is the THC metabolite. And what that basically means is when THC is exposed to oxygen over time, it oxidizes it and it removes its psychoactive properties. And it no longer is THC, it scientifically and physically becomes CBN. So what that really translates to is CBN is sort of a sedative cannabinoid. If you have trouble sleeping, not just falling asleep, but staying asleep, CBN is probably the best thing that you could add to your regimen. I don't know if you're taking other stuff, supplements, and there's a lot of other things that I'll talk to when we get into supplement concepts and combinations of supplements and CBD, but I think that CBN stands alone is probably one of the best things you could do. I think it's better than melatonin. It's better than the active ingredient Benadryl that helps you sleep. It's not coming to me at the moment, but I've yet to see anything. I've tried a couple products over the last 6 months, some tinctures, some gummies, some isolate. And CBN can be a little bit more on the expensive end just because of the process it takes to extract it or produce it from THC, but I think that it's unequivocal and is without equal in terms of its benefits for your sleep. Again, I'll circle back to CBG as a pain reliever. CBG, and again, recap this. So what I'm talking about is when you're going to look for CBD, you're going into a store or you're seeing somebody on the internet and you want to know is this a good product? Is this something that's worth what it costs? What are the telltale signs that will help me make a decision that I'm not going to get ripped off, that I'm going to get what I pay for, and that it's not going to be harmful to me. So all these different ingredients, as I talked about yesterday, the CBG, CBN, CBC, then there's a lot more, CBA, just the list goes on and on. But the interesting thing about these cannabinoids, as I said, CBG helps with pain and inflammation, but CBC helps with inflammation too. That's where we get into the entourage effect. When you use a full spectrum CBD and some of these cannabinoids are present, you're going to get a potentiated effect when they are present together versus an isolate where they're not. An isolate CBG, most isolates are just going to be the main CBD umbrella, so they can essentially kind of hit all these different categories. But if you really want to get down and dirty with it, you want to find a good full spectrum that contains, CBG, CBC, CBN, all these things will play together to give you a stronger effect in all these areas. So even if your product is low in one and high in another, they'll help each other. And like I said yesterday, they will multiply their in efficacy up to 330% once it hits your blood. So full spectrum CBD, and we'll get into dosing, I think later this week, maybe tomorrow, because there's a lot of misconception about dosing. There are people who are taking really high doses of CBD. There are people who are paying a lot of money for those really high doses of CBD, and they really don't need to. I mean, I was brought into this by some people who are very well versed in dosing, and you always want to start at the very, very low end and work your way up and find what works for you and not exhaust that. Your body actually has endocannabinoid receptors in it. And basically, that means that your body was built to receive cannabis in one way or another, whether that's THC, CBD, or CBA, CBN, whatever. But your body was built. A lot of people don't know that there's a fair amount of CBD in breast milk. It's one of the critical components in development of a child and a baby. With that, I mean, there's purpose right there. Our bodies are meant to take this stuff, and it's no wonder why so many people are taking to it and so many people are seeing relief from it, because it's profound, and it is making. From going to cancer research, we can see that it regenerates cells. So cells that die or killed off by cancer are revived and resurrected and fixed, and they now work again. It's reversing cancer. When we're talking about cancer treatments, whether it's THC, I really don't want to get into too much THC, but THC has the ability to make you hungry. And for those people who are nauseous from their cancer treatments, that's what helps them eat. CBD has some of the similar properties. In more concentrated doses, it can produce the same effects. Sometimes it is going to be better for the cannabinoid of choice to be THC. And I will study this too. I mean, for those of you who are in recreational states, a 1-to-1 ratio. So for example, my product had 10 milligrams of CBD. If it had also 10 milligrams of THC, it's probably the most effective pain relief you'll ever get in your life. It's not really going to get you really high. Remember, CBD is antipsychotic. So even if you go to Colorado or California or Vegas and you eat too many edibles, just make sure when you go to the dispensary that you pick up a little bit of CBD. It'll save you. You eat too many edibles, you take the CBD, and it'll actually bring it down and level things out, and you don't have a horrible time. I've experimented with a lot of this stuff, all legally, of course, and it's changed my life. It's changed people around me's lives, but people that are close to me, my grandparents, my family, my friends, and in a lot of variety of ways. I mean, this stuff, I have a chart that I'll share in the comments of this after we're done. But it goes around and sort of groups the benefits that cannabinoids provide into 5 kind of major categories, which is pain and sleep, gastrointestinal, mood, behavior, neurological, and then kind of some other more disease or self-inflicted kind of things. So I'll share that just to kind of lend itself to help you understand all the things. It's hard to wrap your head around it. So I will share that afterwards. Quick recap, and I'll wrap up. There's a lot of cannabinoids in cannabis. Those are the compounds that make it up. THC is probably the most well known. CBD is more recently prevalent, and it's really kind of taken the lead, being that it's now federally legal. Of the cannabinoids under the CBD umbrella, the primary ones that you'll come across will be CBA, CBC, CBG, CBN, and CBD. All of those, of course, I call those our umbrella components to CBD because they all fall under the breadth of properties that CBD carries. CBG for pain, CBC for mental clarity, CBN for sleep, and then and that's generally it. I just wanted you guys to kind of have an idea of what you're looking for. So when you go to buy your products, make sure that if you're trying to buy a product for pain, make sure it's got CBG and CBC in it. Those two together are really going to help. If you're buying a product because you don't sleep well, you're going to make sure that it has a high content of CBN. Just do your research. Look at this chart that I'll post for you from Leafly. There's a lot of good information out there, and I know it's overwhelming, but stick with me and I'll get you there, or do the research on your own. But I don't think I've seen any questions, so I'm just gonna go ahead and jump off of here. But I appreciate, again, everybody jumping on. As always, send me DMs, comments, whatever. If there's something I can do to make this better for you, please let me know. Maybe stop wearing hats, change my clothes, I don't care. Just give me some feedback. I'd love to hear from you. That's all for now, though. I appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your, Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. Okay. You guys have a good one.